Hey ghoul, hey! It's the holiday season for those of you that celebrate, and that means you probably want to get your favorite cosplayer the perfect Christmas gift. Or if you're like me, you're going to be using those sweet, sweet Black Friday deals to beef up your fabric stash that is already overflowing. I don't know what you're talking about. To start out, this is not an ultimate cosplay buying guide. There are so many of those out there already. I actually put together a playlist of my favorites so that if you are looking to have the perfect gift to purchase for your favorite cosplayer, I'll just put those videos below and you can go to town and figure out what you want to buy. The first section of this video is going to cover tools, materials, and equipment that I personally use in my day-to-day business. If you didn't already know, I am a full-time cosplay educator, content creator, and costume maker. Everything in this first portion are going to be things that I actually use from companies that I highly recommend, and I'm going to link everything I mention in this video down in the description below. The second half of this video will cover small businesses that you have recommended or small businesses that I have heard of that I haven't quite purchased from yet. Let's get into it, starting off with education. Oh hi! Did you know that I am the author of this beautiful book, Cosplay Foundation, your guide to making corsets, petticoats, hoop skirts, bodysuits, and more? Did you also know that there are a dozen other resources from authors like me to help you learn some new cosplay tips and tricks? Down in Creative Studios has this beautiful Bible on foam work. Look at how much that has. So much information. My bestie Jedi Amanda has 2 books, one for our beginners out there and another when you are ready to level up your cosplay. And then we've got Cowbutt Crunchies coming in with 3, I count them 3, big, beautiful, bold books on wigs, ball gowns, footwear. All of those books can be bought from their websites. I have another lovely stack of books here that you can purchase off of cntpublishing.com with lots of other titles. You can even get quilting books, embroidery books. There's so much there, so make sure you check out CNT Publishing. Yaya Han has a book. Pretzel Cosplay has a foam book. Kamui Cosplay and Punish Props also have lots of books available on their websites. And if you've gotten the Humble Bundle like me, you've been able to collect a lot of these books throughout time. Something I will say, I feel like every cosplayer should read Yaya Han's book. This should be required reading for us all so that we understand the community better and understand how things got started. Just read her book. For online courses, there's a really great hand sewing course by Bernadette Banner that kind of goes alongside her book, but also they are pretty much their own standalone items available on Skillshare. I took it a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, and I know a lot about hand sewing, but she taught me even more, and I'm pretty sure she has a second one. Now, this isn't sponsored by Skillshare, but I do think Skillshare is an amazing resource for people that want to learn new things, especially in the cosplay making spaces, even in content creation spaces. So I'm gonna throw that out there as like a thing to look into, but I also wanted to take this opportunity to let you all know that I have courses on my website. I have 3 courses available right now. I have Introduction to Tambour Embroidery, How to Sew Pain in the Ass Fabrics, and I have Introduction to Embellishment. And in honor of Black Friday and Cyber Monday and the release of my brand new dragon kits that are now available on my website, if you are watching this video between November 27th and December 4th in 2024, you can actually get 50% off any of my courses when you purchase a kit or a copy of my book. And that's at my website at CaseyReneeCosplay.com. Promise you this is the last time I'm going to plug my stuff today. Let's talk pattern companies. These are going to be pattern companies that I have specifically purchased from. They're going to be independent, small business pattern companies. And I'm going to start off with our friend Alice in Cosplayland. Her Etsy shop has some amazing patterns. I specifically bought the Wednesday Addams Raven's Ball dress pattern that I also have fabric for that I still haven't made. Looking through her pattern and everything that you get to download for it, it has so much information. She also has a Patreon where she has extra videos and just so many cool extra things to help you with your cosplay journey. I can't recommend her enough. She's a member of our community too. So it's really kind of cool that we get to support somebody that is actually out here doing the thing that we do, but also providing great materials like patterns. Go check out her website. And if you are are watching this between November 29th and December 2nd, she has a sale going on for Etsy for the holidays. So definitely give it a look. For my lovely historical costuming friends here, I would recommend reconstructing history patterns on Etsy. They have a lot of different 18th century patterns, 17th century patterns. I specifically used 3 patterns for an 18th century frock coat or court suit that I made to wear in Versailles. I can speak highly on those patterns specifically. The waistcoat and frock coat patterns were amazing. They were so good, so easy to follow. I will say the breeches were a little bit difficult. I also just have issues with historical costuming pants anyways. Anyone remembers the 1850s pants fiasco? That was a thing. It was still a good pattern. It's just I had difficulties with it. I'm just being honest with you. And that can most likely be a me thing. I also learned something really cool from I think it was the breeches pattern. It's using a blanket stitch to kind of cover up some raw edges so that it doesn't fray everywhere. I thought that was cool and useful, and that's kind of a big reason why I liked this company, is because they did have some more in-depth things, like if you wanted to do something hand sewn versus machine sewn. I really appreciated that extra level of information in those patterns. Reconstructing history patterns on Etsy. Finally, the last personal pattern suggestion that I'm gonna throw out there is this is Kachi on Etsy as well. I've made 2 skirts of the same pattern, plus I used her bustier pattern for my Glinda corset, and I just really love that most of her patterns come with a YouTube video, so you can go to YouTube and watch the video. And also just browsing her patterns in general, just like I wanna make a million of them, and if I ever get to the point where all I'm doing is garment construction, then you're probably gonna see a lot of her patterns in this sphere here. So her patterns are both costume and fashion pieces. They're probably a lot more fashion than costume, but I really liked being able to look at some of the dresses and the silhouettes and be like, oh, this would work perfectly for like an Aurora gown. So I recommend This Is Kachi over on Etsy, and I feel like they're very fairly priced with really good instructions. Tools! Oh my gosh, y'all, let's talk about tools. It's gonna come to no shock that the first company I'm gonna talk about is Fomori Cutlery, because I love them. Here are some of their rotary tools. I love their rotary cutters. I use these for kit making. I use them for petticoat making, ruffle making, anything that has long straight strips. This is my go-to. Also, there's certain fabrics that a rotary cutter works better on. Extra blades. The tungsten blade is the best. I love it so much. Also, they have some pretty embroidery kits. They actually have new ones designed this year that I highly recommend checking out if you are into machine embroidery at all. The duck bills are my favorite for applique. I used them recently on a gown that you'll see on the channel in a couple months. I posted it on Instagram. This one right here with the feathers and things. Also, this year, the standout scissor. The scissor that changed my life. These are serrated blades, okay? So normally you would use these for chiffon and like lightweight slippery materials, but I decided because I needed to get my regular shears serviced, which you can send your scissors in to Fomori and they will service them for you. And when I was making my 18th century gown for Versailles, I ended up just using these because these are nice, and these cut so well on the silk taffeta that I literally don't cut anything else on silk taffeta anymore. These are my go-to. They are the serrated blade. I love them. So if you know you're going to be using a lot of silk taffeta, I highly recommend these for that. And support Fomori Cutlery. I do have an affiliate link below. Next up, my beautiful grommet press, which I only started using about a year and a half ago. I think it was my New Orleans dress was the first garment I made with them. But this is a grommet press. It's from goldstartool.com. You can get it so that it has different size thingies to make different size grommets. And then you can also get it to have the cut, like the hole cutter as well. I don't have that, so I just use an all still, but I just love it. I think it's really helpful, and it's just really sped up the process of adding grommets, but also it makes me less afraid of adding grommets. I'm just gonna be honest. And I don't have to hammer. I live in an apartment now, so like me hammering grommets at 10 o'clock at night, I don't think is something my neighbors would appreciate. Whereas this, it's just like, boom, like there you go. Next up, we're gonna talk about a company that I've mentioned here before, Aliso. They are an iron company. I have featured their smart iron on my channel before, but I also have shown off this mini iron, which is what I love to use for rhinestones, and then also like tiny little like finicky areas like corners and things. They gave me a new iron this year that I absolutely love. This is their project iron. It's a little bit bigger than the mini, like Actually, no, it's the same size as the mini. It does steam and all of that jazz, but it also has a light on the top of it. So if you're like me and you find yourself sewing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon now when the sun is down and you need just a little bit more light, but you don't want to have all these studio lights on you, this is really nice. I've loved this for my late night sewing, all of that jazz, but also it's a smaller iron, so it can do all the finicky things like this. And then you can use your larger iron for, you know, other things. So I just wanted to mention Oliso. They are great. I've been working with them since 2019. So yeah, but my next tool is because I absolutely hate ironing boards. I love to iron. I just don't love using ironing boards. They take up too much space. They are annoying. I actually have been using instead an ironing mat from Ironmatic. This one specifically is like perfectly fit to my table, and it has like little grippies on the back so that it will like cling to my table, and then I can just kind of like take it and yeet it off when I need the whole table to cut things. I love it. I've been using it since May, and it's made my life a lot easier because I don't have to bring out a ironing board and then like put it away all the time. I don't have a ton of space, so being able to reuse the space that I already have is awesome. I have not used any of the wool mat brands, but I know a lot of people recommend those, so I am just gonna mention that they exist. But this is the one that I personally use. Also, like, let's be honest, this purple makes me feel very gothic. It kind of gives me Haunted Mansion wallpaper vibes, just like a little bit. But anyway, this is the new mat I've been using. It fits perfectly on my table. Talking about how my ironing mat fits perfectly on my table is a great segue into Arrow Sewing Furniture. They are the people that made this beautiful cutting table. This table goes from these dimensions, which are like 40 inches by I think 20 inches, to 70 inches by 40 inches. I made a video on making this cutting table. They also gifted me a sewing table, and this is the sewing table that I've actually been using since 2018. It can pull out a serger, and then it also expands lengthwise and widthwise, something I discovered too. So I live in a 600 square foot apartment, right? And I have, yes, turned my living room into my sewing studio because this is my job. I learned that this Arrow table can also double as a 4-person dining room table. And you all know the only people coming over are Alex, Amanda, and Kimber. So like the 4 of us, it's perfect. And Eva is not allowed to sit at the table because she's a dog. No matter what anyone tells you, she is not a human. She will try to convince you otherwise. And then finally, I got this beautiful embroidery table, which I actually made a video about earlier this year. If you didn't know, my embroidery machine, my 7-needle embroidery machine, used to live on a card table. It's not as sturdy as you would think it is, and it's not the best for a machine that is that heavy. So I was gifted this beautiful table, and it also has storage, which is the perfect type of storage for all of my embroidery needs. All of these tables go from very large to very small, and then they're also all on casters. So if you kind of notice, I'm here on my gallery wall today, but in other videos, I'm normally over on the other side of the room, and normally my sewing table is on this side of the room. Because I have casters, I can kind of switch the orientation of this space quite a bit, and it's just really helped me be able to take this space and maximize it. Just wanted to recommend Arrow Sewing because I know there's lots of you out there who are cutting fabric on the floor, and they have other cutting tables as well, not just this one. I would like to encourage you in 2025 to take better care of your health and get up off of the floor and start cutting on a table. And you know who I'm talking about because I'm talking right at you. Know who you are. I love you. Go do the thing. Get up off that floor. It's good for you. You'll be able to sew longer. Okay, and then the last piece of equipment we are going to talk about today, before I segue into places that I buy fabric, is going to be actually my B38 Bernina sewing machine. I was gifted this a year ago, and I told you guys a year ago that I would let you know what I thought about it in a year. And a year later, I love it. Something that I will highly recommend about this specific machine, and kind of any machine, is like maybe always invest in feet. So this machine in particular is a great beginner level machine that will bring you into intermediate level. Say you were a craftsmanship cosplay competitor and you wanted to start, you always start in novice. Obviously this machine will be the machine you can learn on. And when you get into journeyman, you'll definitely be able to make anything you would want to make to win your journeyman category. And then when you move up to masters, you could probably still use this machine a little bit, but you also might want to look into something bigger. So that's how I think of this specific machine. I have a few other machines as well that are industrial, or like I have a 7-needle embroidery machine. They're all great. And this machine is also great, but I also like this one because of how compact it is. I can travel with it, and it has this cute little like drawer where you can have a cheat sheet. So if you forget what stitch number something is, you don't have to just open up the manual and be like, well, yeah, how do I get to an invisible zipper? So the cheat sheet is the first way that I would recommend getting the most bang for your buck, the best use out of this machine. The second way, I talked about feet a minute ago. Get yourself the Garmin Sewing Feet Kit. This kit, I love this. I just got it in June or July sometime. It's phenomenal. My favorite feet in the kit are the hammer foot. You'll see me use it on petticoats and all those things. The invisible zipper foot, the non-stick foot. That foot in general is going to be amazing for stretch fabrics, vinyls, anything sticky. And then the darning or embroidery foot, but I kind of always refer to this as like free motion embroidery. So how I can add trim without having to hand sew it. These are the things that I like to use. I would also say no matter what machine you get yourself a walking foot or a dual action foot or whatever they call these days. Every company has their name for them. You have your teeth down here in the machine, and then this foot has teeth up here, and they work together to like move your fabric. I've been using that on wool lately and I love it. It's a great foot. Just get it. Just get a walking foot. And I just wanted to mention, if you are looking for either a new machine this year or to get yourself some new feet or even some fabric, check out String and Story. That is a queer, female-owned shop located in Duluth, Georgia, but they have an online shop. And so that's where my machine is from. A couple of people have purchased other machines like the Yaya Han machine. Some of you have purchased the new industrial, I think it's the BO8 from her. Also for Black Friday, they are having a sale of the BO5 Crafter, which if you didn't know what that machine was, Sarah Spaceman actually sewed through like 10 millimeters of foam of it on her channel, which I thought was insane. My B38 can do 6mm foam like that. Like it was like butter, not gonna lie. The BO5 is a great machine if you are like 2025 is the year to learn how to sew. So just keep that in mind for yourself. It's on sale for $249. Use my link below because I'm also an affiliate, so I get some doll hairs. We can keep the lights on, maybe pay for one of next year's costumes. Yeah, you guys down with that? My machine will also be on sale for $5.99, so that's great. And that means you can DM me and be like, Casey, I don't know how to use this feature. And I can be like, let me show you. But also Holly Ann, who owns String and Story, she's great. She's always helpful and amazing. And another thing too about String and Story is they're having a Black Friday sale. It's going on now until the 1st of December, and they're having 20% off fabric, which is probably the right time to discuss fabric companies that I like to shop at. This is gonna be quick and dirty because first of all, I could talk all day about fabric shopping. These are also online shops, not in-person shops. Check out your local quilt stores, Google near you fabric stores, fiber supply stores, things like that. If you want an in-person shop to go to, I highly recommend supporting locally. But for those of you that just can't have access to that, let's talk about Mood. I love Mood. I've been using Mood for 5 or 6 years now, and I just purchased beautiful wool for the next video that you'll be seeing in a couple weeks for a Victorian jacket. Price-wise, they are in the middle. A lot of people think they're like really overpriced. I think they actually are pretty comparable. They just have some fabric that is highly expensive. Keep that in mind. I love their swatches. I go to them for swatches all the time. They also just in general have really good customer service. So if you have a question about something or if something is out, they let you know so fast. They also have a library of free patterns. So Mood is my number one. Next up is going to be Fabric Wholesale Direct. So I did work with them one-on-one for the Beetlejuice gown. They supplied some of the fabric for it. I have to say that first of all, just working with them was really, really great. They were really, really flexible. I've gone through some life things. They were super understanding. For context, that video was supposed to come out in the beginning of September. As most of you know, it didn't, but you can still go watch it. It came out on Halloween. What I really like mostly about Fabric Wholesale Direct, first of all, I've been using them for 7 years now, so like they're consistently good. They have a wholesale structure. So say you did want to make a petticoat and you needed 15, 20 yards of organza. They have a structure to where if you buy a certain amount, you get a discount off. Same with any kind of ball gowns. Most ball gowns I make, I need around 8 to 10 yards of fabric. When you buy 10 yards of satin, you get a discount. And so I really like that. So if you are also somebody who's maybe making lots of costumes, it might be more affordable for you. And then they also have a rewards program program, which I can't remember a lot about, so let's just not even go there, but they do have a rewards program. Their shipping is fairly quick and their customer service is great. Okay, the next one is Blue Moon Fabrics, and actually one of y'all suggested this to me and I was so giddy because I was like, this is my first time using them and I loved them. Their fabric is kind of a little bit more unique. It's a lot more stretch fabric, which I think is fine. I purchased specifically fabric for my Anne Boleyn from the musical Six costume, which I will be featuring in the spring because we have a group and you get to see all that cool stuff and you know, whatever. I did purchase some fabric from them. Shipping was fast. The options were fairly unique compared to some of the other stuff I've seen online. Price of shipping was expensive. The actual price of the fabric wasn't, but then you have to add in the shipping and that can make things go up pretty high. But either way, it was still good shipping. Everything arrived great. The actual fabric is exactly how it looks in the photos. So I recommend Blue Moon Fabrics. They are new to me. This is the first time I purchased from them. But then we also finally have Zaloof. Zaloof actually supplied some materials for my Rosie gown. They are actually a really good resource if you want to work with knit fabrics. A lot of their fabrics are knits, which means they are stretchy versus a woven, which is more of your cottons, your non-stretch satins, things like that. They do have non-stretch materials, don't get me wrong, but just keep in mind that a lot of their stuff is a knit base, so you have to actually read and make sure that if you're looking at a jacquard, you read that it says that it has 10% elastic in it or whatever, or it's a two-way stretch, you know? So keep that in mind, but something that I did get to learn through, well, not learn, but I got to show off through working with a knit fabric for Rosie was how you can take a knit and use it like a woven. So that's pretty cool. That video is also coming out. Zaloof rounds out my personal suggestions portion of this video. We're gonna talk really quickly about some of the suggestions that you gave me. Just wanted to throw this out there. For the holiday season, I want to encourage as many of you as possible to think about supporting a small business over, say, the app that's on your phone that you can get delivery the same day. And I say that because $50 to a small business owner is like groceries for half of a week. $50 to a small business owner is their light bill for the month. Things like that. So really consider not only looking at small businesses for your gift giving or your personal buying this holiday season. All right, we have made it to our cosplay supply suggestions from you all. And for those of you curious, basically I posted on my Instagram stories a little like, hey, tell me about small businesses that I can purchase from that are female owned, LGBTQ plus owned by people of color or marginalized group or any combination of these. And so y'all provided. So this first company that y'all suggested, I've actually purchased from before. They are Fernley and Trowbridge. I purchased from them in 2021. I bought wool, linen, and a few other things from their website for my writing habit inspired by the Scarlet Witch. I really like the quality of their materials. They also have a ton of resources on their website for historical costuming, either classes or like blog or things like that. I really like them and one of y'all suggested them and I'm here for it. I've also been told that the owner, Angela, is a lovely lady. So, you know, I like lovely people. I like people who are nice. And I also like to support small businesses. I did not realize how many quilters follow me here and I'm pretty honored. Thank you so much for coming over to my crazy, chaotic cosplay space. I'm also giving me your fabric suggestions. So the next little section is going to be kind of some quilt shops, focusing mostly on the cotton and things like that. Printed cotton, and then also notions. A lot of quilt shops will have notions. First up, we have Love a Ring Quilt Company. Looking at their website, their fabric choices look a lot like kind of cottagecore-y, very spring bright vibes. They also had this little tag that said books are a unique portable magic, and I just really loved that. I thought that was super cute. It's currently sold out, so I can't buy one right now, but I thought it was super cute. Another one or another couple of quilt shops that were suggested for more of like your modern quilting fabrics, which I think modern quilting fabrics or modern printed quilt, like cottons and things like that are really good for either linings of things in cosplay pieces, or if you have like that one statement fabric that has like an interesting design. I feel like quilters cottons can be really good for those. Got a couple shops, Chamberville Threads, Fabric Pop, and Fabric Bub. These all have a really wide variety of quilters cottons. A couple of them have some cool characters like this bear. If you know me at all, you have heard me talk about my first ever like really long D&D campaign and my character summoned bears. She had a bear cavalry. I love bears. this is a problem. I do think that animals that could probably kill me are cute and cuddly, and I think that I'm the exception. So Swanson Fabrics was another fabric resource suggested by y'all, and this one actually also has an in-store option in Turner Falls, Massachusetts. They have a website, but it looks like they have like classes and other resources on their website, which I think is super awesome. Just like really good community building for their area. I love that. I'm here for it. I also loved that they have an emphasis on reusing, recycling, and ultimately making sewing sustainable for both the environment and your wallet. I really liked that, and I just kind of feel like if this was my local store, I would probably be really involved and probably take a bunch of classes, probably just like be there a lot. Along the same environmentally friendly, wallet friendly, sustainable vibe is Nacho Ann's. Nacho Ann's. Nacho Ann's. Okay, so when I read the title, I just was like, oh, this is super fun. I love nachos, and Ann, you get it. And then I said it out loud, and I couldn't help but chuckle. So Nacho Ann's, another really wonderful, sustainable, focused shop that you can buy lots of different kinds of materials on. The names of their materials, like they give them fun names because obviously like it is more of a secondhand type store or like more of a consignment store, dead stock, that kind of thing. They also have an entire section for cosplay and drag, which I love because it means that if you're like a newer cosplayer and you're not 100% sure like what to search for, you can just go into that section and be like inspired, or maybe you will find the exact thing you need for a character. I really like this store. I think the branding is a 10 out of 10. Like, let's go. I want a plate of nachos right now, but I also couldn't help but laugh. The name, it was so good, so good. So for our vintage sewing friends, we have backroomfinds.com. This is a resource for vintage fabric, but also vintage patterns. I was really impressed with how much information they give about the patterns, and also just like the pages and pages and pages of patterns available. If you are into vintage sewing, vintage making your own vintage clothing, vintage inspired anything, I think this is a really good resource. Also, like if you do more cosplays that live in a vintage era or things like that, this is a really good resource. We're gonna stick on the topic of patterns really quick. Indigo Patterns was recommended by one of y'all. I was extremely impressed with how many patterns were available on this website. Not only was there specific, like this specific Zelda costume as a pattern, but they also had like a bodice block or like sleeves or like just more generic pieces that you could make for yourself and then modify time and time again. And I love that, and I want more pattern companies to do things like that because it allows us to not only like be inspired to make things fit our bodies, but it makes us inspired to try new things and to play. Indigo Patterns, I'm really impressed with their website and with the variety of things they offer. Definitely check them out. Sticking to patterns, this is our last pattern one. This one is for foam or like armor smith ghoulies. Any of y'all that are like out there being a lady knight or a male knight or a non-binary knight. Any of you out there making armor, my friend Saya Cat has an armor patterns on her Etsy shop. So she'll have like a specific character pattern, like say Wanda's headpiece from WandaVision, but she'll also have just like your generic cauldron pattern, which means you can start off with that as a base and turn it into the thing you need it to be. So definitely check out her patterns. And then she also has some embroidery files and things like that on her website. Check her out because she is our friend and we like to support our friends here. And now let's move on to some of the miscellaneous shops. These don't really have like a generic category. They just all do their own thing. First up is Lilypad Design. They sell bra making supplies. I've had the desire to make my own bra and underwear for like so long. It's terrifying. And I actually bought a like lingerie making book in a used bookstore in Nashville like 7 years ago. It's fascinating because like the small delicate details that you have to consider, like working with lace and things like that. This just tempts me more to make my own underwear because I didn't just write a book on underwear for cosplay and now I need to make my own underwear. You know, that's naturally how these things progress, right? Maybe this is gonna be the year for me to do that. Maybe if with enough peer pressure, I will make some underwear. We shall see. Who knows? Lilypad Designs has a lot of materials, and honestly, this will be my one-stop shop when I decide to finally do this thing. All right, next up, cosplaysupply.com. I have heard of this one tons of times, but I've never actually checked out their website. I'm so glad I did because I didn't realize that they have such a variety of not just like warbler and foam. That's kind of what I thought they did, was just warbler and foam, but they have like wigs and accessories and like so much more. Me being me, naturally, I went straight to the bead section and I was highly impressed with their bead collection. I will be checking out their website for beads in the future, especially my more unique beads. I like in the process of making and developing kits, but also for my own projects. And as if I need another bead website, if you didn't know how long I spend just looking at beads for these kits that I build, cosplaysupply.com, it feels like it's a one-stop shop. I mean, I know it's not, but it is pretty damn close. All right, moving on. Cinders and Glitters is a shop owned by Pocketful of Ash, who is another community member. She is actually making and selling resin accessories. So think like Raven from Teen Titans, those kinds of accessories. She'll sell those, but she also has like a really large variety of other resin accessories, magnets, pins, that kind of such. I love the Pride Ouija boards. I'm obsessed. Those are dope. It hits me in my soul. Definitely check out Cinders and Glitters. Support, again, a member of our community. Another resin shop who does something different is Shimmering Chimera. So this is actually owned by one of my best friends. Her name is Mina. I've known her for over a decade. She does amazing work. We actually met competing. She sells horns, like resin horns, as well as ears. She's incredible. She's doing this thing for Christmas where she has a mystery bag. And so you like basically can purchase a mystery bag. You won't know what's in it. And one of the people on the post that I saw this up commented, oh, I bought one last year and I put it under the Christmas tree and I didn't open it until Christmas Day. And it was like buying myself a Christmas gift because I didn't know what horns were in there. I just love it. Like, I personally know Mina and I stand the quality of Shimmering Chimera. Go check them out, especially if you're gonna do anything D&D. Come on now. Last but not least, we have Magical Wares, which is a great place to buy witches hats. I personally was really enthralled with the floral witches hats. I don't know what it is. I love a good witch's hat, but like the more shit you put on the hat, the more gimme I am. But I also really liked that you could just buy a solid color witch's hat, or also there was this galaxy themed one as well. So definitely go check out Magical Wares if you would like either witch's hats, or there's also collars as well. There was a cow collar, a cow printed collar, which made me think of the Cult of Lamb. I don't know, I've never played that game before, but I don't know why I thought of it. It just made me think of it. So it could be from that. I don't know. So check out Magical Wares as well. They are also a community member. Let's support us like fellow cosplayers doing our thing. That is all I have for you all today. So this is just the list of places that like I have been informed about or I personally shop at. So if any of you would like to add to this list, please like comment below. I did keep this list contained to online shops for the most part because, well, it's the internet and I think it's just easier to link something so that more eyes get on it. I've mentioned this one time before in this video. Do consider Googling quilt shop near me or for fiber supply shop near me, fabric shop near me, things like that, and see what comes up that isn't Joann Fabrics. That's going to be a really good resource for you. I highly recommend that. And then you can go into like an actual store and touch everything. I know some people have to actually touch it and swatches are too expensive for them. So I hope this list and discussion helps anyone here planning for purchasing on the holiday season or just purchasing in the future in general. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. You can check out my Beetlejuice gown. I've got that video right here. This was my Halloween project this year. And if you want to wait 2 weeks, my next video will be up. If you've been following my Instagram, you kind of already know what it's going to be about. Until next time, stay spooky, friends. Goodbye. Do y'all want to see Eva? Let's see. There she is. Star of the show. She's directing. She wrote my script. She did it all. She's the one that responds to your emails and your text messages. Like, you don't really actually talk to me, you talk to her. Okay, goodbye now.